listening to The Daily Show.
The Daily Show?
The Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
On Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
Men's Radio.
With Russ Kane.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Russ Kane. This is The Daily Show, exclusive to Men's Radio Station, with you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I can see him chomping at the bit. We got a fantastic show lined up for you today. Really good. There's some stuff I want to get off my chest, and a little cough. The stuff I want to get off my chest, right? And then Neil has done, in typical fashion of only the cheeky boy of New Malden can, prepared a whole thing about positive psychology, and I'm looking forward to that. But without further ado, Edward or not, you know him, you love him, the stand-up king of the New Malden area and certain nearby boroughs. Ladies and gentlemen, Neil Cheeky Boy Longie Long. That was like the longest introduction ever. My thanks to Fat Scotty from Wolverhampton for sending it on Monday. Excellent. Really enjoyed it. It was jolly good. And I hope that whatever you were doing was a success. She's off straight away. Hello, boys, from Sunny and Hit. Antalya in Turkey. She's got hit in Turkey. I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do about that. Call the police. Gimme Lashmar. Hello there. Robert Van Buren.
Gimme Lashmar. We saw you on Popmaster.
Popmaster. It goes like that. Was she on Popmaster? That's fantastic.
She was on Popmaster with Kim Bruce because it's on telly now.
About bloody time. That show's been crying out to be on telly for about 20 years. Fat Scotty, otherwise Scott Lyons. Nice bins, Longie. Absolutely. Monday, 8 o'clock. Yes, that was all. What do we got here? Come on. I mean, it's your show, so we love you to hang on. Let's try this. Hello all. Feeling after a lousy time. Let's send your sing your cheers me up. Well, Barry J. Allen, Barry, you've been through a rotten time. Far too many losses in your family. It's been horrible. Bless you for saying what you say. We're done. Let's dash across the northeastern United States. Good day, says Isa Don Brown. Fat Scotty. Liz, I'm hoping that's hot and not... I wish I hadn't gone there now. A couple of things I want to say. And then, Neil, it's all yours. Right. Oh, God almighty. Hang on. Here he goes. Mr. Citadel himself. Hello, everybody. I'm not having a good... Oh, Sen. Fella. Why not? Plus surgery on... yes, you mentioned that to me in a text message. We wish you all the very best for Friday. Apprehensive, totally. I don't even like being in the hospital. And at the moment I'm there, I'm like a wreck. But, they know what they're doing. Anyway, Sen, if you need to talk, try and phone me later if you want to. Right. Now, a couple of things I want to talk about. It's under sub judice, so we're careful what we're saying. So there's two things I want to talk about. One is Andrew Tate. Very, very briefly. I don't want to give him the oxygen of publicity. And Neil's face sums it up. If this is just my opinion, everybody, you have your own opinion. Of course you do. To me, he is the epitome of everything I despise about social media and despise about life. I think he is an utterly revolting human being. Him and his brother, I think they're repulsive. That's my opinion. However, so much gloating. When did we lose the notion and the inherent right that you're innocent until proven guilty? That's my point. Yeah, is he horrible? Yes. Is what he preaches repulsive? Utterly. It's the opposite, I think. I don't often speak on behalf of Neil, but I'm going to, because I think everything that Neil and I and Phil Dave and all the gang at Men's Radio, he's the absolute antithesis of everything that we try to do. I find him disgusting. But we can't lose the right to be innocent until proven guilty. I
agree. It's trolled by media.
We cannot keep doing this constant, well, social media have said they're guilty. It happened to Philip Schofield, he's guilty. We don't know what of.
Guilty
We
of
don't know
what?
what of. That's died a death. Nothing. You won't hear from him again. And this is just, and as much as, and this is an extreme example, you know what I mean, of how we reflect society. I can't stand Andrew Tate. He really makes my stomach churn. What he preaches is repulsive. But the guy's entitled to a fair trial. Okay? That's what I want to say about that. The other thing which has been really twisting my melons, man, is the Titanic thing. Why is it okay not to care if people die because they're rich?
Well, I never said that. And
No,
I
you
hope they
didn't,
all get
but
out safely.
Jesus Christ.
But there is that bit of a vibe in the air.
You know, a very, very dear friend of mine who I love dearly, he's one of my very best friends. I'm not going to say who it is. Put up a post, and he equated, why is it that this takes headlines and they're billionaires, yet the people coming over in the rubber boats washing up on our shores, they don't get much publicity. Well, they're not the same thing. You can't conflate people coming over illegally with people who've gone down. Would I, if I was a multimillionaire, want to go and see the Titanic? No, I would not. It's not for me. But it's their money. When, Neil, did we get the right to say, well, you've got to spend your money how I think you should spend it? Sod off. It's not your business.
No, I agree.
It's not your business.
And whether people are coming over in dinghies being trafficked, or whether those poor people stuck in the wreck of the Titanic, either way, it's not. They're not good things. And
no, they're not.
It seems to be a bit of a vibe in the air. Oh, well, serves them right. They're rich. Come on.
Yeah, but that's it. You see, this is what I don't get. Beanie Boy.
As long as
the cream cake king of Hampstead.
What's wrong with being rich?
Silly son. Subjudice is an underwater vessel for the tribes of Israel.
It's the people's front of Judea.
Fat Scotty, in other words, Scott Lance for Wolverhampton Titanic. I'm aghast at the speculation on their survival with oxygen and where the submersible might be without consideration for the feelings of their family. What's happened to compassion? No, that, Scott, is what I'm trying to get to.
Exactly.
These are multi-billionaires, okay? They made their money. They can spend it on what they like. So what infuriates me about, they shouldn't be doing this. They should be spending it on the poor. They should be. Why? It's their money. It's not your money. You can do with your life and your income and your finances whatever you want. Let them do what they want to do. Would I do it? No. Do I want to go and see the Titanic? No. Do I have a certain feeling that it's a mass grave and it's not a bloody Disney tourist site? Yeah, I do. I don't think it's, but there you go. That's just it.
And the craft they went in was put together very shoddily. I mean, it is controlled by virtually like a computer game.
Got to hold you up on that one. A lot of people are saying, oh, well, I'm not saying about you, but if you go through social media, a lot of people go, oh, well, they're multi-billionaires and they're in a craft and it's controlled by an Xbox joystick. That joystick is standard for most submersibles. I looked into it. It's not like, I know, let's go down on eBay and get a joystick for 20 quid, save a few bob. Of course not, they're paying to you. It's this horrible vibe of, if you're rich, you're an utter bastard, and if you're, I don't know. It's the politics of envy. It's the politics of envy, and the reason why you don't hear about illegal immigrants is because the government lost complete control. 4 Sundays ago, on the Kent coast, I know this for the guy who lives there, 900 popped up. 900 on Sunday.
Wow.
900 on one coast. If you're fleeing, and I would just say this before everybody gets upset. It's funny enough, I'm just talking about you, David. Before everybody gets upset, if you're fleeing because your choice is flee and leave everything behind, or get a bullet in your head and get shot in front of your family, literally in the street, of course, you should be welcomed. If you're just sodding off because you think you can get benefits, or, you know, it's handy here, or you can become part of the black economy, etc., no, sorry, not on, any more than I can waltz into America and think, you know, I quite fancy living next door to my son. I think I'm going to go and live in Texas. It's fabulous. I'll just breeze in. No, can't. Now, we've got, what have we got? Your mate, Liz Saul, and then it's over to you, Neil, for 20 minutes, because I know you've prepared hard. Happy birthday, Dr. Ash. I don't know what that means. Okay.
I do.
David Wimble says, greetings from Bodrum in Turkey. I'd call you, but in the middle of having my implants, Turkish teeth. They're fantastic, by the way. Having my implants, suffering 90-degree heat. Whoa. What do we got here? I've had some property dealings in Wolverhampton, so I know what it's like. Oh, God's sake. You can read that yourself. Right. Hi, everyone. Back from my wonderful spa break. I'm back in my... If you're only
this
listening...
rock and roll lifestyle that you lead, Julie.
Julie Voice, formerly of Houston, Texas, now Guildford. She's outside the Bowls Club waiting for her mum. Paul Claridge, Neil and I are fine. And your mate Liz says this. Oh, look at this. Oh, well, we're not going to read that because it's rather sexist, frankly. Rather sexist. Yeah, Turkey. I got to say, David Wimble's teeth, fantastic. Bloody marvellous. Anyway, Neil, I'm shutting up. I got it off my chest. Over to you, fella.
Well, first of all, I can explain the Dr. Ash, because my daughter, Dr. Ashley Kemp, it's her birthday today. So happy birthday, darling.
Oh, happy birthday, Ashley. How lovely. I met her and she's lovely.
She is amazing.
She's very, very lovely.
So she's going to be spoiled tonight, which is nice. Yep. But mentioned this a while ago. It was the possibility of talking about some of the highfalutin concepts that we talk about here. And it'd be nice to tease some of them out, put some meat on the bone of it, and to really teach, actively teach mental health, rather than, yes, there's certainly a place for us to, connect and be a safe space, non-judgmental and all that sort of stuff. But I've really got a passion for teaching some of this stuff because I think it's really, really important and good to know. Yep. So I have prepared something, and if you like it, and I'll take your feedback on it, we can do a little series of it. We can review books and do all that sort of thing, giving full credit to the author, of course. And the book I want to talk about is a book called The Happiness Advantage by Sean Achor. Okay, really well written, very, very entertaining, and talking about a relatively young field in the span of time that psychology has been a thing, of something called positive psychology. Now, to explain the difference, traditional psychology, which, by the way, didn't work that well, and in some ways still doesn't, it was based on trying to diagnose and fix a problem. Okay, so in other words, fix it, heal it. Okay, it was thought by going back and finding the root of it, this is very Freudian, that there'd be some sort of catharsis, and so you know why you've got the problem. It's because this that happened when you were 5 or whatever. But the booby prize is you've still got the problem, just a problem with insight, but you still have the problem. So it started evolving a bit, and things like NLP came along with some pretty controversial but brilliant things.
Could I jump in 1 sec? You've said something really... No. I love this. You've got a problem. You've still got the problem, but you've got a problem with insight. In other words, You're intelligent enough to know, yes, I've got a problem. Yes, I know it happened because my bicycle was stolen or taken away by my dad when I was 6. Whatever, pick whatever silly example you want. But you've still got the problem.
Exactly.
It's like watching yourself drown.
Yeah. So you've got a problem. You just know why you've got the problem, and it's kind of the booby prize. So NLP came along and started, I could tell some hilarious and controversial stories because one of the founders of it was and is a bad boy genius, and started getting results when 150 competing schools of psychology of the day in America were not. So needless to say, they weren't terribly popular and they became very famous. Now NLP is used everywhere. It's very mainstream and used properly and with integrity. It's absolutely brilliant. Used to manipulate people, not so much. And there's an awful lot of it goes on in sales and marketing and clever use of language and all that sort of stuff, which is not what it was invented for. But then this new field came out, positive psychology. Rather than studying what's wrong and trying to fix it, let's focus on what's right. And let's see if we can emulate the people that have it right and teach it to the people, we would hope, that don't. Let's focus on what works. I was going to make a metaphor about the Titanic, but it's not very tasteful. But off the top of my head,
All right, go ahead, because we're all grown up, and if it doesn't, the metaphor doesn't quite work, we won't write it.
You can't study flotation, the laws of flotation, by studying the Titanic. You can't study peace. You can't achieve peace by studying war. You can't screw for virginity.
Well, yeah, it doesn't,
no matter how hard you try.
It doesn't quite fly long.
You can't
I'll tell you why.
studying illness.
Yeah. All right. Well, we see what you. No, I see what you're saying. I see exactly what you're saying. I get it. Okay.
You can't learn about prosperity by studying the poor. You have to study the people where it's working for them. The people who have the strategies that work.
I think we can wrap up. I think we can wrap our head around that. I think we see what you're saying.
Is that a fair comment?
Yeah. No, it is. It is. I don't want to dice and slice it, because the general principle is correct. Your principle is absolutely right. You're right.
Okay, they may not be the best metaphors, but hey,
doesn't matter. We've got the point.
Okay. Exactly. So a commonly taught formula, and this is what he opens the book with, is this. We've all heard it, or some version of it. Work hard, raise kids, work more. The I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when my partner changes, or I change my partner. I'll be happy when the kids are growing up. I'll be happy when I get that raise. And the corollary of that is the solution to things not working is work harder. And that's why, oh, hello, Helen. Brilliant. Love this. Reminds me of one of the premises of organic intelligence, that our attention to what's wrong is what's wrong. Expand our capacity for the good instead. Well, you brought up a really good point, Helen, because we tend to get more of what we focus on. And if we focus on what's wrong, guess what we're going to get more of? Yeah? It's about reframing our thoughts.
Is that like, because I'm slightly out of my depth deliberately. Thanks, Ace. I really appreciate that. What are you saying, that if we give out positivity, I don't want to be all hippy-dippy bullshit about it, but if we give out positive vibes and positive, you get it back. And if you give out negative, is it something like that? Am I in the right form, right area?
Certainly to some degree. Certainly to some degree. Yeah. Look, you buy a new car, suddenly you see it everywhere on the roads. A lady buys a new dress, suddenly everyone's wearing it. We get what we focus on. We see more of what we're giving our attention to. We must have had that new car experience. Suddenly there's loads of these cars. Were they there before? For sure they were. But we didn't notice them. And the reason why is because we've activated this. I wasn't expected to talk about this, but I'll type it in. And this is now provable science.
Yeah.
This. Every human being has it. I like calling it your RAS because I'm childish, but it's reticular activating system. In other words, we see more of what we're looking for.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. And that is now provable by science. And it would also go a long way to explaining things like prayer, the law of attraction, Derren Brown, and all that wonderful stuff. So let me go back to what I was saying. Traditional psychology was very focused on the broken and trying to fix it rather than studying the successful and emulating it. In fact, the ratio is this: 17-1. And this is to this day on the negative. 17-1.
Can you expand that a little bit? What you're saying is, if you go to see somebody in the psychotherapeutic
Then
community.
17 cases, 16 cases out of 17, they will be of the old school where they're trying to diagnose and fix a problem
Right.
rather than be solution focused and move you straight to the solution.
Are you saying, and I find this fascinating, but are you saying if you go to a traditional counselor, not counselor, no, psychotherapist, psychiatrist, it's very long form, isn't it? I mean, you're looking at years.
Yeah, and there's a
Then
place
number
for
one,
it.
I just want to see if I've got this right, because if I've got
All
it
right.
right, I'm hoping everybody else is following, is coming along with you. You go there, you got a problem, you're depressed or whatever it is, and they start to unpick your life. And it takes forever.
Mm.
And I think one of the mistakes, and please help me out with this, Neil, because you are much more read about it than I am. I think one of the mistakes is you're looking for that pivotal moment in your life when something happened and it messed your life up and you'd forgotten it. I don't think that's the case at all.
No, I don't.
I think it's two things.
That comes from Freud. That comes from Freud, that you know why you've got the problem,
I
but
don't
you've still
argue
got the
with
problem. So you might have that pivotal moment. It might be a revelation. You might go, oh my God, that's it. But you've still got the problem. And if they're unpicking your life, what are you focused on the majority of the time? The
you
negative.
Will remember one of our guests was Mark Collin. Well, you may or may not remember. Mark Collin, who is actually he's my spiritual consigliere, as I've called him that. I've called him my spiritual consigliere.
Yes.
Mark and I
are
launching out.
Amazing, man.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's really, really good. And I would rather do that. And we're launching our podcast, in fact, on Friday called Walk the Talk. But I'm not going to buy into Neil's time with that. But it's a whole hour podcast. We've already recorded 13 of them in my spare half hour. I would rather not pick through everything that's been crappy in my life, but look at where I am now, at my age, and my position at 2023, and say, how can we improve on the good stuff and remove the negative stuff? I don't want to go back to when I was 5 or 6.
Essentially, take the positive learnings from the negative stuff and then leave it where it belongs in the past, if you can.
This is from Paul. Do you want to read it out, Neil, as this is your section?
I will do. I've got some really fascinating stuff to share. I've only got 8 minutes. So
okay, go on.
Okay, let me read that out from Paul, though. Pop that back.
All right, pop it back. Here we go.
Must admit it, as Russ knows, I've been struggling mentally recently for various reasons, but I'm lucky enough to have two very close friends who both have degrees in psychology, both lovely ladies, rock solid gold, allow me to vent and share without judgment. Likewise, I'm there for them too. It's our own little support network. And for all my Paul evangelizing about this psychology, which I'm talking about, a support group, particularly in the early stages of our healing and growth process, a loving support group is absolutely necessary. I would not be where I am today without it. And I will absolutely say that. Anyway, let me power through this because it's really interesting stuff. Sure. Now, talking of support networks, ironically, when we need the support network, which is essential to our well-being, that was synchronistic, wasn't it? We disconnect from it by working even harder and shutting ourselves away. This came from Harvard. This guy, Sean Akar, applied to Harvard for a bit of a laugh. He did not expect to get in. But when he got there, there's all these people at the top echelons of society who, who've got everything to play for, the privileged, the elite, so-called. They were all depressed and miserable. And the reason why is because they were all stressed. Rather than looking at the wonderful life ahead of them, they were worried they wouldn't make this target, worried they wouldn't make that target. And they were some of the most unhappy people he had been around. And he just thought, wait a minute, something is off here. And the reason why, it's this simple. It's this simple. We think that success leads to happiness. I'll be happy when I succeed. No, it's the other way round. It's the other way round. And that we're at exciting times where they've put studies into this and measured this stuff, and it's provable now. Did you know that optimistic doctors make a more creative and accurate diagnosis than those feeling just average? Why? Because doctors follow a particular paradigm, the Western medical model. And there was a thing in doctoring, which I didn't know, called anchoring. Nothing to do with anchoring in NLP, by the way. This means something different. But it means basically being convinced of a diagnosis. And if new evidence comes in, no, they're anchored into that original diagnosis. But then they did a little test, or this Sean Akar did, and they found that priming a group of doctors against a control test group who they didn't prime, the happy ones were less likely to anchor and were more creative and accurate in their diagnosis. So having a happy doctor does make a difference. I would say, why have an average diagnosis when you can have an excellent one, when it's seemingly very simple? And do you know how they primed them?
Wow, go on.
Do you know how they primed
No,
them?
no, I don't.
Make them happy? They offered them sweets, not even sweets beforehand, so it was blood sugars. The anticipation of a little reward of a few sweets was enough to change that diagnosis. That's big.
No wonder why they love their free biros and notepads.
But seriously, guys, how big is that? That's
It's
big.
Huge. It's huge.
That's really big. So
there is
learnings that come out of that. Number one, give your doctor a lollipop.
Yeah.
Number two, look after our medical
there's a reason why we are where we are.
I've got more. Do you want more? Nearly done.
1 second.
Optimistic
1 second. There is a reason why we are where I know.
Salespeople.
Hattie can wait for us.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go on. There's a reason why we are where we are, Neil. Because if you tell everybody you will be happy when you have stuff, you have a loyal, enslaved workforce. You get locked into a mortgage. You get locked into the family. You get locked into the notion, I've got to have a new, bigger car. I've got to have a big,
and
all
yet
this
it's
crap.
A misnomer.
Of course it is.
None of these things are
but
bad,
you understand
by the way.
why it's been sold to us, Neil.
Oh yeah.
You
And we can
understand why it's been sold to us.
None of it is bad. Nothing wrong with enjoying a family, mortgage, a new car.
It's not that. It's that
But
you
I'm
have
saying
an
you're more likely to
enslaved,
get
loyal
those things.
workforce.
Yes, you're right.
That's
and
all
you're
it
much
is.
more likely to get those things if you're happy first, rather than trying to be happy when you get there.
They don't care whether you're happy or not. They want you on. They want you in the system.
Well, we
so
do.
You have to work till you drop dead.
Yep,
That's why.
Fair enough.
That's
I would accept that opinion. If that's your opinion, that's fine.
It is my opinion.
I'm just pointing out the truth and the science here.
Yeah.
Optimistic salespeople outsell their pessimistic peers by 56%. That's big. They've done big studies. Researchers did a meta-analysis. This is studies of studies. Over 200 studies worldwide on 275,000 people. And the results were absolutely categoric. Happiness led to success in work, health, friendship, sociability, creativity, and energy. Pretty good in the workplace. It gives you and your organization the competitive edge. Happy people are successful ones. And did you even know that your peripheral vision widens when you're happy? Literally, you can see more, maybe see more opportunities when you're happy. That comes back down.
Are you actually saying your peripheral vision?
Yes.
Actually increases if you're feeling cheery?
Provably.
How does that work?
Provably so.
I'm not saying it doesn't. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just fascinated. How the hell does that work?
I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going by the results.
Well, it's magic. Let's put it down to, like I do with most things, it's just magic. And we go,
and that, folks,
it's magic.
And that, folks, is it for today. But if you'd like to learn more about this, I can do some more of the book, Happiness Interventions. If you think it really is worth it, being happy first, I think it is. And if you'd like some more on Men's Radio, if you want it, and with Russ's there, if you want more of this on Men's Radio, with Russ's permission, if you want more, I can do a little series of it, if you like.
I got to tell you, I loved it.
Bear that in mind.
I loved it. The figures looked like people loved it. We all want to be happy.
And the thing is, I'll just finish with this. It doesn't have to be big things. It's little everyday happinesses. Stroking your cat, cup of coffee with a friend, seeing cool people that you interact with appear on your timeline, Helen Snape, having a good network of peers. That's really important too. Little things all add up to a general baseline, which we can increase, of happiness. And when that's true, then our success levels will raise as well. And I'll bet Helen Snape, because this is pretty much your story, I bet you will bear this out on your own experience. Type yes if you agree. And if you don't, type no. But by all means.
Here's the thing, right? One of the greatest lessons I've learned, and it took me years, is that the little things, and I've done this now for a long time, the little things really make your day better, make you feel better, put you in a better mood, make you feel lighter. And that is literally what you just said, Neil. Go
Yes.
out and have a cup of coffee
But the
with a
science is in now that those little things add up and they will increase your success level and give you a competitive advantage over everyone that's in that old school paradigm of I'll be happy when.
No. You won't. You won't, but you'll be enslaved. And that's what...
Well, exactly. It's
That's
broken.
what the
It's a
West
broken
relies
system.
on. The West relies... Look, I'm the last person in the world to be a communist ever. But the West relies on you got to have bigger, better, newer, all this stuff, which really doesn't make you happy, which brings you back to that idiot who's just been charged in Romania. That's what he's preaching. That's why I can't bear it. That's why I can't bear it.
Exactly.
Look
well,
at what Wimble says.
luckily he's not on MRS.
No,
but
thank
we
God.
are.
Thank
and
God.
we
But we
teach,
are.
and we can teach.
And we don't. What's the word I'm looking for? We don't proselytize it. We're not forcing it down anyone's throat. We're just saying,
And if you
take
want,
a look at it.
in between now and the next time. And by the way, we cut out a minute ago. I don't know if you heard this, but with your permission, Russ, and if people want some more from this book, and I can teach some more things, I'd be very happy to do a little series. But if you want the proof of how powerful the human mind is and what it can do, it's on Netflix. Watch Derren Brown, Miracle.
Oh, incredible. The man's amazing.
Where he pretends to be a faith healer, an evangelist. And he tells the audience he's fake, and look at the results they got. And if that doesn't prove categorically the power of our minds, and indeed the power of us, then I don't know what will. I really don't.
Can I tell you something very interesting about Derren Brown?
Yes, sir.
When they wanted to create a Derren, they were looking for a Derren Brown. I know this sounds completely topsy-turvy, but it's true. There was a wonderful show, which my mate Hilary O'Neill was on. I think Davro was probably on it, and a load of others, called Copycats. And on Copycats was a chap called Andrew. Oh, I've embarrassed myself. Can't remember his surname. He's now one of the biggest producers in the world. Started off as an impressionist comedian. And what they wanted to do was create a Derren Brown. And they were kind of auditioning. And one day, Derren Brown literally walked in and they went, "That's our Hitler." I mean, that's from the film. He was the guy.
It's not Andrew Huberman, is it?
No, it's not. Andrew O'Connor. Thanks, Scotty. Andrew O'Connor. Andrew O'Connor got this idea. He set up a production company and they wanted the notion of a Derren Brown, which is a brilliant notion. Couldn't find him. And then Derren walked in and they thought, this is the guy. And they created everything around him. I think Derren Brown is extraordinary. And he does the thing that I love the most. I'm going to trick you. Everything you see is a fake, and you still go with it. It's fantastic.
He pretends to be an evangelical healer.
Yeah, I've seen it.
But rather than talking in scientific language, which is how he begins it, and I've done NLP. They've got big visual effects. They're swapping pictures, and all these pictures are bright coming towards you. It's called a swish pattern. They do it in NLP all the time. It's a brilliant treatment. I've treated people with it. It works. They do it big in a TV studio in group. Okay, using NLP swish patterns. Anyone that's done NLP, that's all they're doing. They're just doing it big with social proof of everyone doing it at once. And there are people getting real healing results in their bodies. And to make it interesting, he then changes the language from secular NLP based science to Christian language. It's the Holy Spirit. It's the will of the Lord, except the same thing's happening. Whether you call it NLP or the healing power of the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, the same thing's happening. And he makes the point at the end that the miracle actually is us and what
it's
we're
you.
capable of.
Of course it is. The miracle is you. Remember one thing, and
which ironically is what the spiritual texts tell us, but we all interpret it differently.
I don't want to
that's where religion goes wrong. But I won't get onto that.
Let's not stray into religion because I'll just lose my temper. But as Deepak Chopra said in a wonderful lecture that I attended,
I'm not. Religion teaches
no, I know. What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is that the brain is the biggest pharmaceutical center in the universe. as Neil often refers to, as Deepak Chopra in his books beautifully shows up, the brain produces all these amazing chemicals and pharmaceuticals. And the trick somehow is to engage with your brain, and so they release whatever it might be.
Well, I tell you what,
That's the basis of
Monday,
social media, by the way.
How about on Monday, I do some of the things you can do to get these little happiness jolts.
Oh, we'd love it. Are you kidding?
To engage these chemicals.
Sure.
And you want a quickie now? Listen to music that's 128 BPM. 128 BPM, dance music, if you can. 128 beats per minute. They've proven that gives you all bliss chemicals at once. So not just serotonin, dopamine, and anandamide, and all the other wonderful ones. You get all 7 at once, simultaneously. I've experienced it. It's legal bliss. It's a legal high, and it's amazing. And you go into what they call a flow state, and that just feels incredible as well. And I'm sure Helen Snape will bear me out on that as well. Helen, if you agree, type yes in the comments. If you think I'm talking nonsense, tell me.
This is a joke that only presenters on commercial radio stations will understand. Yes, 128 BPM. Can you stop fiddling? Play it 72 times. We once asked our boss, why do we have to hear the same song again? You'll find that it takes 72 times until the public understand and actually react to this. 72 times. It'd drive you insane. When I was in the plane, I used to take my headset off sometimes. I couldn't bear to hear the same bloody song again. It just drove you mad. 72 times.
And the reason why that repetition didn't work is because novelty. There you go, Helen. And I've seen your Facebook videos of you shaking your booty on a Friday afternoon. And
easy now, fella. Easy.
No, I'm not saying your booty is. Well, I'm not saying it's not. No,
what I think?
No, your dancing is impressive, I mean.
Yeah, that's definitely what you meant. I think Hattie's away. Is she on jury duty or something today?
I don't know. Do we not have Hattie?
Well,
I can do some more of this of these interventions if you like.
Carry on.
Do you want some more?
Let's have a vote. Yay! All right, I voted.
All right. I'm just going to do a little bit of scrolling.
I think it's really very, very interesting. Here's the point that I go with and why I've become friends and close and working with like Mark Collin is because it gets straight to Kiss My Rose. Yeah, we didn't quite hear that enough, did we? Or Everything I Do by Bryan Adams. Jeez. Scott is saying this. Scott's saying this. There's a remix of Steel's Kiss My Rose at 128 BPM. Where do you think God's sake.
The most accurate
song.
answer
Any
I can
song's
give
a
to
lovely
that,
song,
Scotty,
not
it
72
would depend
times.
who heard it. It would depend who heard it. If it's overplayed, you won't get the novelty shot of dopamine, which is what makes us feel good. It's the anticipation. Remember the doctors and the sweets, the reward, dopamine. It's the same reason why you can never replicate the first drug high. Same reason.
Well, that's what they say. The first one's fantastic. Well, I'm being careful with my words here. And then you try and replicate it. You can't do that. And you've got to take more and more garbage.
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know the science behind that? I can tell you that.
Well, just don't start. Let's just say that on behalf of Men's Radio Station. Please.
That's a good starting point.
Bloody start with it. It's a highway to nowhere.
The reason is because you get a massive shot of dopamine. But the brain goes, oh, that's too much. So it down-regulates and it shuts down some of the neurotransmitters. So the next time you put the same amount of the substance in, you've only got half as many neurotransmitters to uptake it. And then again, so it keeps halving exponentially. And that's why you need more and more and more. And that, friends, is the biochemistry of addiction in a nutshell. Same with anything. Overwork, porn, alcohol.
Well, it has a less and less.
I'm not saying these things are bad in and of themselves. You just don't want to get addicted to them.
They're not bad. They're just stuff. And nothing's bad if you're controlling it.
Less thinking should make it so.
Thank you, Marvell. This year it's Butterfly. I don't know. It's on every hour. Does my nut. I switch off rather than play nothing and constantly hear that song. I don't know what Butterfly is. It's although it was the last.
So do you want some of these happiness interventions?
Here's a weird little aside before we do happiness interventions. Butterfly was the last single by the great Dusty Springfield, and I was invited to a lunchtime press show, and she came up at Stringfellows because she was on the Hippodrome record label. Peter Stringfellow had signed her up, and she came up and she mimed this song. I'm like a huge Dustys fan. I mean, I think she had one of the best pop voices that Britain has ever produced.
Yeah.
And it was horrible. The press were disgusting. Oh, it was so brutal. I was so embarrassed to be there. They were sniffing around the fact that she was gay, couldn't come out with it and say it. And it was revolting.
So what that she's gay?
No. Precisely so. Who cares? Because she was a fantastic talent, but it tortured her. Anyway, there we are. That was as soon as I hear the word butterfly, that's what I think of Dusty Springfield, the only time I ever met her. Right, okie dokes. Let's have some more from Neil Longie Long, the cheeky boy of psychiatry.
These are proven strategies. Now, remember two things here. Number one, we're not going for anything massive. It's the little things that build up, because little things lead to lots of little things, which lead to a string of happy moments, which ultimately is what a happy life is, rather than trying to get somewhere to be happy.
Yes.
Okay. And also remember, novelty and dopamine are all connected. So novelty, dopamine, feeling good, something novel, something different. Sameness is stultifying. We're talking about playlists earlier on, but it is. And that's why we were all so bold with it.
Is that why we get bored? Is that why people get very depressed? If they've got they get up, they catch the same train, they do the same job, they come home, have the same dinner. Is that why
no dopamine, no novelty. You shake things up a bit and do something different.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be big.
No.
Okay, so here we are. Here are proven. Number one, meditate. Oxford University has studied this. Professor Mark Williams wrote a brilliant book on mindfulness with Danny Penman. And he's a really relatable guy. Love listening to his stuff. And Michael Mosley tested it as well. And he also talks about the benefits of meditation. By the way, if you do try and meditate, and most people try and meditate and they go, but I can't clear my mind. So they try even harder, and then the mind gets busier. The good news is that's not how to meditate. Okay, meditation is noticing when your mind has drifted off and deliberately bringing it back. It's exercising that mechanism. Notice, bring it back. Notice, bring it back.
Hang on. What do you? No, not following at all.
Okay, so
and I learned. I went on. You wouldn't think I did, but I did. I went on a transcendental meditation course.
TM, brilliant.
And I got to say, and I'm the world's leading cynic. Blow me down if it didn't work.
The reason why is because it gets your thinking mind out of the way. It gets rid of the beta waves in the brain. You go into alpha waves. You ever stood outside at night and gone, oh, what a beautiful night. Life is just good at the moment, in a sort of sense of awe. That's alpha waves. It encourages different brain waves. Okay. Meditation, if you notice your mind's drifted off, just bring it back. It's that repetitive notice. Bring it back. I'm sorry, I'm a meat and potatoes guy. Bring it back to where, Neil? To focusing on, well, let's say you were choosing to focus on your breathing. So I'm focusing on my breathing. Breathe in, breathe out. Yeah. Oh, what's the shopping list tomorrow? I'm doing it. Back to breathing. Oh, I didn't like what that person said at work. No. Bring it back to breathing. It's not about
with you.
It's about consciously noticing and bringing it back and observing what's going on for you in a non.
I tell you what happened. Neil is talking. Neil is talking such sense. Neil is talking.
6 weeks practice. The happiness centers in the brain light up more.
Yeah. Neil is talking great sense. I went to this thing and I thought, if I see one hint of a saffron road or a sandal, I'm out of here. I didn't. And he explained it to me over a week in, it was in town, and over a week I went every day, and he was explaining it sort of on an intellectual and physical level. And I thought, that I like, because I don't like nonsense, spiritual mumbo jumbo. I just don't like it. It's not for me.
No, neither do I.
And I knew that on the Friday, so I'd gone through Monday right the way through to Friday. And on the Friday, I knew that I had to bring some flowers and some fruit, go figure. And I would be given my mantra, my word,
that's right.
And I would do TM for the first time. And now I'm a terrible giggler. And the more serious the situation is,
I'm the same.
Funerals, I'm terrible. I don't know if it's a nervous reaction. And I get the giggles, and I can't stop. And once I start, I literally can't stop. And anyone who knows me knows I just start. So I'm thinking, oh God, I'm in a small room with this guy. If I start giggling, it's so embarrassing. It'll be in so I hand over the fruit and the flowers, and he does the whole little ceremony thing with me. And I'm thinking, okay. And he thinks, right, now you're going to do your first transcendental meditation. And I thought to myself, this is absolute bollocks. This isn't going to work. This isn't.
And blow you down at work.
I was out cold. Gone. It was amazing. It was amazing. Every part of me was saying, this is garbage. It's never going to work. This is so embarrassing. Boom, I was out cold. It was extraordinary.
And they've studied it, and it's now provable science, which is really exciting. Once I heard someone had tooth work done without an anaesthetic after practicing that.
Oh.
No, listen. They could transcendental medication. It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Transcendental medication. Anyway. Way of being happy number 2. Find something to look forward to. Remember, novelty, dopamine. Doesn't have to be anything big. You could look forward to your cup of coffee, coming home, cuddling the partner, being taken out for dinner. Hopefully my daughter's looking forward to that tonight. It's for her birthday. She gets to go out with a local D-list celebrity. How dare you? But if she thinks about that, and she loves to menu Ashley's a good example. She's got this thing. She likes to menu stalk. So she'll go and look at the menu and decide what she wants and get excited about it throughout the day.
Oh, I see. So she sees the menu in advance.
Yeah. Menu stalking.
Cool. All right. I like that. I like that.
And she's very good at it, and she loves doing it. And just something simple like that. Yeah, my dad's taking me out for dinner tonight because it's my birthday.
How do we?
Let me ask you this. During the day.
Let me ask you this. Wait, cheeky boy. Let me ask you this. How do we train ourselves to? No, it's a serious point. To recalibrate our expectations.
Practice.
You've said something like have something to look forward to, right? I like doing crosswords. It's one thing I like to do. I like walking the dog, listening to my audiobooks. These are little things. The crosswords in a free Evening Standard paper, which I pick up at the tube station, right? When I can. Always got an audiobook on the go, always, which I like listening to and getting immersed in the story. These are little tiny things that cost zero. Cost is zero. How do we recalibrate ourselves?
Practice.
So those little things, how do we do it?
By noticing when you're not doing it and bringing yourself back to it. Don't judge yourself. Just notice and bring yourself back to what you're focused on.
Explain. I'm not
practice.
Totally with you.
There I go, thinking negatively again. No, I've noticed. I'm going to practice. And eventually, it's like working a muscle. Eventually, the muscle gets stronger, and then eventually, it becomes the new normal. It takes a little effort, but it's worth it.
Okay.
2 ways: meditate, find someone to look forward to. None of these things are difficult, particularly. 3, conscious kindness. This means deliberately doing some acts of kindness every day. They measure the brain chemistry of people that were kind. And if you want to be a bit hippy-dippy about it, you could say all human beings are of like kind because we're all the same species. Very hard to believe when you see a town centre on a Friday night, I must admit. However, kindness works. You could do something nice like paying the toll for the car behind you, if you like, something like that. Just a little bit of kindness.
I'm not doing it.
Fair enough. But it's proven.
My initials are RAK, and in America they brought up a thing which is a random act of kindness, and I kind of thought it was a bit of an omen. RAK being my initials and random acts of kindness. So occasionally I will just do something. There's nothing huge, like some little silly thing. And
at no point did I say this had to be huge gestures. It could be paying the toll for the car behind you. It could be. I was at a cinema once with my girlfriend at the time, and there was a young teenager behind us. She was 50p short, and they wouldn't let her in. I gave her the 50p. You know what I mean? Just little things like that. Doesn't have to be.
Or if I'm in the supermarket and somebody behind me has got like 2 items, and I've got my usual nonsense. I go, is that all you've got? I put it in a nice way so I don't take offense, because maybe they just want a chocolate bar and Diet Coke. I don't know. And I go, oh, please go ahead of me. And they look at me like I've just pulled a rabbit out of my ear.
Exactly. But now we live in these exciting times where these things can be measured, and they actually see changes in brain chemistry when people are altruistic and treat people kindly. And by the way, that includes yourself. Infuse positivity into your surroundings. Yeah, pay it forward's nice.
Pay it forward. It really works for me, says Scott.
Yeah,
random acts kind of make me feel really good to be alive. I do it because I can do it. That's fine. Fair enough. Infuse positive. Ooh, I'm liking it.
Why do you think they have pictures of our family on our desks at work? Why is my picture on the front of my phone, my daughter?
Well, because she's very nice and she's your girl.
And it doesn't have to be your daughter. It could be your son,
your dog,
your dog, your mini schnauzer.
Could be a mini
Surround
schnauzer
yourself with things and people that are positive. We all know the so-called energy vampires. Avoid toxic people.
Mood hoovers.
Avoid narcissists. They will drain you dry. Okay.
And you'll never change them. And the other thing is,
don't even try.
You'll never change them. It's a lost cause. I'm sorry to be rude. I really shouldn't be saying this as the co-founder of MRS, but just dump them. Dump them. They're just not gonna. They're no good for you.
Yeah, but you could argue that's conscious kindness towards yourself.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. It is very difficult, he says, being careful what he's about to say, without revealing too much, to be kind to yourself. I don't find it hard to be, I'll be absolutely honest, I don't find it hard to be kind to others. It's something I like to do. Makes me happy. Being kind to myself, no. Can't.
But that puts you lower than other people.
Oh, of course it does. Yeah, I know that.
And you need to be on level pegging, because you're just as worthy of kindness as anyone else. I think the Buddha said that. Do you want to argue with him?
No, I can't believe it's not Buddha. Neil Long, I absolutely agree. Kindness can have a profound effect on the giver and the receiver.
Exactly.
Isn't it strange, that stupid little example? You're driving along, you let someone out into traffic, and if they wave and say thank you, or put their little flashes on, which is the London way to say thanks, you think, that's nice.
And if they don't, you go,
and if you don't,
thank you.
Yeah, but it winds. All right, I'm not going to speak for it, but it's like pisses me off. Like, geez, come on! I let you out. Just go like that, or little something. Because I immediately think I'm an idiot. Why did I do that? I feel stupid for having done it.
Yeah, but how kind has that been to yourself?
No, it's beating myself up for nothing. So I just boom, I let it go now. Now I let it go.
3 more. And this one had to come up. Yep, that one. Endorphins.
Well, yes, I'm having a big talk with myself about that at the moment.
So I won't say too much about that. Plenty of ways to take exercise. What I would recommend is something that's fun. I would much rather play Beat Saber and be in a virtual reality thing, doing all these moves, which are good for me in an aerobic sort of way, knocking away aliens and blocks, than just walking randomly, because I find that boring.
It is. Leslie Ian Jones says something very interesting. I can be kind and generous, but my dark side doesn't allow me to forgive or forget anyone who tries to hurt. Well, why should you? I don't either. I'll be honest with you. I know it's not healthy. I know it's not healthy, but
maybe it is. But let me break this down a little bit. And I think we'll agree on this. See what you think of this, Leslie. Could you put that last comment back, please, Russ?
Yeah, let me do it, because it's an important point.
Okay. Forget? No, absolutely forget, because it's an act of kindness to yourself to remember what happened and take appropriate action so it doesn't happen again. They say you can fool me once, but I'm not going to go back for more. That's like going back to try and please a narcissist time and time again. You never will. Take the conscious kind action and move away. Forgive. This is a difficult one, because forgiveness, the word, is bandied around an awful lot. And one of the definitions of it makes it sound like be a doormat and let people do what they want to you. Turn the other cheek, forgive. And it doesn't mean that. What it means is putting yourself in control and as an act of conscious kindness to yourself, letting go of the pain they caused you for you. They may not deserve it, but you do. It's an act of conscious kindness. That is true forgiveness. It's letting go of that pain of what other people did to you so you can be free. It's not about them, and that's really important.
I think you should say that again, because that is a real. If you learn nothing else, it's like, I always say this is, don't let other people live rent free in your head.
Exactly.
Don't let them live rent free. Why? They're not thinking about you.
Exactly.
They're not
I'll say
thinking
it
about
again.
you.
I'll say it again.
They're not thinking
Forgiveness.
about you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Forgiveness
Yeah.
is not about what they did being okay. It's not that they shouldn't have done it, because they shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not about being a doormat and saying, "Hey, you can do anything. You can walk all over me. It doesn't matter. I'm a weak beta male, and I'll never do anything." None of that. None of that.
Sure.
Yeah. Literally, you let go of the pain, as Helen beautifully says, to untie yourself from it. All the time, you're still thinking about that, ruminating. You're tied to that person. As you put it, Russ, they are living in your brain rent-free. Asa Dawn Brown agrees. Letting go, moving forward, and allowing your inner person to have freedom from the event, situation, personal circumstance.
Important.
All
So
true.
important.
All great ways of putting it, because it's something you do for you. It's something you do for you,
important.
not for them. Not for them.
And you've learned a lesson. You've learned a lesson. You're not going to do it again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's a silly old phrase, but it's absolutely. Grandpa saying, "I'm kind to the elderly." Well, you know what? In the UK, in the West, well, no, I'm not saying in America and the UK, the elderly are just a pain in the ass, and they want everybody swept away like Logan's Run. In Italy, they're revered. In Spain, they're revered. In Japan, they're revered. So they bloody well should be. They've paid their dues. Right?
Two more.
Grandpack, you are so dead. I'm not even putting that one up, mate. Go on.
Two more. Spend money, but not on stuff. Spend it on experiences that make you happy.
Ooh, I'm liking that. I like that.
Another proven
That's
way.
good.
And finally, find something you're good at and go and do more of it. I love to DJ. And I'm pretty good at it. I teach other people how to do it. They're good at it. The atmosphere is very vibey, very happy when we do DJ night around here. Not so much for the neighbors, but for us, we love it. But it could be painting. It could be artwork. It could be shaking your booty, Helen, on Facebook once a week. But whatever you love to do, do it. Do what you love to do.
Absolutely blooming right. If you've found something that you really enjoy, embrace it. And even better, if you can make a living out of it. If you can make a living out of it, fantastic. And if you can't, you can't.
It's stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. Stranger things that happened. I once heard of someone that used to draw pictures on cream crackers in butter. So he would go around these events where people were eating crackers and draw a portrait of them in butter. And he got hired. He now makes a great career out of doing that. So if you can do it from that.
I thought this was leading to a fabulous tagline, but no, it's a true story.
It is a true story. So let's whip through those again very quickly. Meditate. Find something to look forward to. Conscious kindness. Infuse positivity into your surroundings. Exercise. Spend money, but not on stuff. Exercise is signature strength. And if you want a good definition of forgiveness, it's enlightened self-interest or enlightened selfishness. It's something you do for yourself, not for the other person, because they're not going to change. And trust me, if they're treating people like that, they're not happy. Hurt people. Trust me.
Oh, I like that. That's true. Well, they do, because they do, which brings me right the way back to my opening little kind of Greg Gutfield monologue this morning about the Titanic. Hurt people. You don't know the people in that submarine trapped down there. They've done nothing to you whatsoever. And yet, let's attack them. Why? They're doing what they want to do. It doesn't affect you one way or the other. It doesn't affect you at all. None of your business. And yet people couldn't wait What do we got? Let's go to France. Bonjour, Russi Sigal. One doesn't have to forget, as it's a learning process. Forgiveness
True.
can stop the constant triggers. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
No,
It's something you do for yourself.
For years.
Let me put it in more robust terms. Someone does
right.
something that really, really hurts you. It hurts a lot, all right? But why should it have to hurt over and over and over and over and over again? They're responsible for the first time, but we can take control for the second time onwards by letting go of the pain that they caused and moving on. But we do it for us. They might not deserve it. They probably don't. But you do.
And I'm going to end this because we out of time. Helen Snape, great tips. Thank you. Neil, you've been on fire today, fella. Loved it.
Thank you.
Absolutely loved it.
Thank you. By the way, everyone, Google Helen Snape. She does brilliant work on being a reformed people pleaser. Give her a Google. The woman is brilliant. I love her work.
We're great, and we love having her on the show. Right, totally out of time. I'll be back on Friday with Phil Dave and Chantal Ricard's OBE. Neil, have a wonderful weekend. Same for everybody else. Until Friday, stay out of trouble.